A man who ordered the 1996 killing of rapper Tupac Shakur was arrested and charged with murder Friday. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis has long been known to investigators as one of the 4 suspects identified early in the investigation. He isn't the accused gunman, but the orchestrator and shot caller for the group of individuals that committed this crime. Davis has admitted in interviews that he provided the gun used in a drive-by shooting. Nevada grand jury indicted Davis on 1 count of murder with a deadly weapon. He is due in court next week. The grand jury also voted to add a sentencing enhancement to the murder charge for gang activity that can add up to 20 additional years if he's convicted. Just to touch bases on the past events for those who don't know or need to be refreshed. Tupac was in Las Vegas to see Mike Tyson box at the MGM Grand Hotel. Members of the Southside Compton Crips, including Davis and his nephew Orlando Anderson, also attended the event. As both groups were leaving the fight, members of the Death Row Records spotted Orlando Anderson near an elevator bank inside the MGM. At that time, they began to kick and punch him near the elevator bank. Both groups left the hotel. Tupac and his crew headed to a post-fight after party at a local nightclub. When Davis found out about the attack on Anderson, Davis began to devise a plan to obtain a firearm and retaliate against Suge Knight and Tupac. After he acquired a gun from a close associate, Davis got into a white Cadillac along with Terrence Brown, DeAndre Smith, and Anderson. At some point in time, they were in the white Cadillac. Davis took the gun that he had obtained and provided it to the passengers in the rear seat of the vehicle. A copy of the indictment states Anderson and Smith were both in the back seat, but does not specify which man pulled the trigger. The group found the black BMW in which Tupac and Suge Knight were riding and began shooting at them through the window, and they immediately fled the area. Tupac was shot on September 7, 1996 and died 6 days later from his injuries. Davis is the only living person involved in Tupac's murder. All the other individuals associated with the crime are dead, including Anderson, who denied his involvement with the murder before the death in a gang-related shooting in 1998. The decades-long quest to officially solve the case was reinvigorated in 2018. When the police searched Davis' wife's home in July, they seized a copy of the memoir Davis authored detailing street gang life and the murder of Tupac. Going to keep it to the code of the streets, Davis said when asked who were the 4 men in the car responsible for pulling the trigger. It just came from the back seat, bro. Davis confessed to the crime to the police in 2009, but the information was unable to be used according to the former police detective who investigated the case. Authorities then sat him back down in 2009 and he confessed to his role in the murder along with other co-conspirators. However, Davis had a proffer agreement, so they couldn't utilize that information that he was providing against him. A proffer is an agreement in which a suspect agrees to provide potentially useful information in an investigation, but the statements made generally cannot be used as evidence against the suspect. Officers knew the 2018 refocused on the case was likely their last time to take a run at the case to successfully solve this case and bring forth a criminal charge. Tupac's stepbrother Mopreme Shakur, who is also a rapper, said, "Davis' arrest is bittersweet. We have been through decades of pain. They have known about this guy who's been running his mouth for years, so why now? For us, this is not over. We want to know why and if there were any accomplices." Tupac's career was short but hugely influential, and the rapper has left an outsized legacy in music, style, and culture. Let's take a minute to talk about Tupac's early life and rise to success. Tupac Shakur was born on June 16, 1971 in Harlem, New York. He and his sister was raised by a single mother, former Black Panther member Afena Shakur, until the trio moved to Baltimore, where Shakur enrolled at the Baltimore School for the Arts. The family soon moved again to California. Despite moving around quite a bit in his youth, Tupac considered Oakland his home. Suge Knight, co-founder and CEO of Death Row Records, visited Tupac while he was serving a prison sentence in New York in 1995 and offered to pay his bond on the condition he would sign to his label. Tupac agreed and signed to the Death Row Records, joining a roster of artists that included Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. The rapper released 11 platinum albums, 4 during his career and 7 others released after his death. His first album, Tupacalypse Now, debuted in November 1991. He was also a poet and featured in films like Poetic Justice, Juice, and Above the Rim. He used this music to comment on social issues, and his introspective lyrics often visited topics like racial inequality, poverty, and gang violence. His career was also distinguished by East Coast rapper Biggie Smalls, the hip-hop legend who had a similar rise to fame. was shot and killed in Los Angeles at the age of 24, less than a year after Tupac's death. His murder is still unsolved.